I always play my own builds in POE, and these are 16 that I have tested recently in Standard that are obsolete. These builds are no good. I don't recommend following these builds anymore. These 5, however, are still viable, and I'm going to walk through it. Let's look through these old builds of mine. This one's not that old. This is Stormbrand of Indecision. This is from, I believe, Affliction League. This is just kind of showing clearing on a typical mob setup on a tier 16. This can run Delirious maps, no problem. Now, typical Stormbrand sends beams to 4 enemies instead of only 1, which is why for clear, this is a little less optimized, but Stormbrand of Indecision better on single target. It was nerfed in 3.24 in Necropolis, and that's why I'm testing it. And as you can see, it's perfectly good, but with the caveat, as you'll see as I go through shortly, I do have a lot of legacy gear, because some of this legacy gear, I just couldn't turn it down. I've played Stormbrand like 4 or 5 times, and of course in Standard I would collect all my best stuff. But I'll show you, it would still be viable going forward. The point of this video is to show this build is still viable, maybe with small edits. Some of these may require or benefit from small edits. This is of course just running the Twisted. You can see this is not just Stormbrand of Indecision, of course. This is also Lightning Conduit on our middle click. Meaning that when shocks are applied, we get to hit them with a very powerful Lightning Strike. And of course our left click is to apply full power Assassin's Mark. Not nerfed by any Mark on hit support, because Mark on hit support cuts the effectiveness. Now this is Alk, this is random Alk I have in Feeble, and that's why it's taking a little longer than average, but you'll see CI, it's tanky enough, it's very viable. And of course, really good wand, you know, very doable, but of course here's the problem right here. Helmet enchant, no longer available in lab. Fantastic helmet. And also an old school replica Dragon Fangs, which is not possible. See, it has ranges not possible anymore, unfortunately. But the shield can still be obtained. It's an excellent shield. It's a crazy ass shield. And it does have a Mage Blood, so it's an expensive version. And we have Lab Enchanted Gloves. Not required. Generally, though, the main thing is fixing the replica Dragon Fang nerf. And of course, taking into account that we no longer have the helmet enchant available in 3.25, so we'll see. As 3.25 patch notes are released, I will revisit my Stormbrand of Indecision. Alright, so now we get into our second build. As you'll see, Honored Tattoo of the Barbarian. This is no longer obtainable. This is from Trial of the Ancestor League. Not obtainable anymore, unfortunately. You can get tattoos, but not that one. I also have a lot of flat cold damage from tattoos. This is, of course, from Trial of the Ancestors League. This is my Cold Flicker Strike. I'm going through some of the gear. Uses a Yoke of Suffering to allow shock for our cold damage. And also this Legacy Chaos Spirit, Rage per 100 life. It's now 300. So Legacy Gloves, frankly, Legacy Dark Ray Vectors. Increased Flicker Strike damage per Frenzy Charge, that's gone. No more Helmet Enchants. No more Tattoo to give us 12 Frenzy Charges. We would only have 11. Would it still be good? Yes. That's why I put it into this video. It's still viable. It's still viable in Standard as is. You can get all this stuff in Standard, but of course you're relying on Trial of the Ancestors tattoos that are no longer available for flat damage and for, of course, the extra Frenzy Charge. And then the Helmet Enchant is very nice. So, somewhat valid, you know, somewhat viable. And still very strong, and that's why, you know, it hasn't been nerfed to death, but it has stuff that you can only get in Standard. And we're going to get into our third build soon, which is actually a build I'm very proud of that I developed on my own, inspired by a lot of other Flicker Strike builds, but a 100% pure Lightning Flicker Strike that you guys might have seen. That is actually my strongest build of all time. But I wanted to show this cold one. This cold one has 2 different totems. So you'll see right here in the corner, I'm throwing 2 different totems to buff my melee. And then of course it's rage dependent, and then of course we can use Berserk. And it's super fucking strong, but it's more complicated, which is why I developed a more simplified version. Didn't rely on rage, and that's this one right here, my pure lightning. And this one is still viable, but this one was in Affliction League, and you'll see a few things that I had to take away. And I'm going to go over that right now. Now right here, you'll see we replaced the gloves, no longer Chaos. And you'll notice there's no gems socketed in our body armor or our gloves. Our gloves, because of Warden of the Eves, Ascendancy Tree, used to give us % max life, and then our body armor used to have twice the defensive stats, so twice the evasion. That's all lost. So we no longer have twice the defense on our body armor, and we no longer have the extra life on our gloves. Now, this one only has 1 totem, though. Doesn't have 2. Does not rely on Berserk. Does not generate Rage at all. So it's simplified. Does not require tattoos. No tattoos at all, just has these clusters. Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh setup. But yeah, again, one totem, simplified, no Blood Rage, does not rely on tattoos, and does not rely on rage generation, and it's pure lightning, so it's crazy, it's fun. Does not have helmet enchant. This was already taken away by Affliction League, but we took away a tincture. That's why I have an empty flask. We had a tincture for extra LE penetration, and we had our lightning damage applying freeze. We were freezing people, which does not really help our damage or our defense, but it does indirectly help our defense because it slows down enemies. So we've lost freeze, we've lost a little bit of LE penetration. We do not, of course, even though we could, because we're in standard, get, of course, I could get, a lab enchant helmet. It'd be very hard to get with the lightning setup, very specific, but possible to have that flicker strike. Damage. See, damage per frenzy charge on our flicker strike would make this even stronger. Tattoo. Give us 12 instead of 11, even stronger. Not available. Took away the tincture, took away the extra life. We had 4,500 life, almost 4,600. But you'll see we're insta-phasing the Enslaver, regardless. And that's why this is still a viable build, regardless. And in fact, one that I will play around with to upgrade slightly, because now we have an open flask slot, because tinctures are no more. Still very fucking good. Alright, we move on to this build, which it's a tough act to follow because the flicker strikes are so fast and they're so fun. And they're both still viable. But this build, surprisingly, is still viable. This is from 3.19. This is my Spectral Helix Trickster. This build could be upgraded because you'll notice one thing, it's a little slower. It has one big problem. This is, of course, Spectral Helix has always felt like Blessed Hammer from Diablo 2. And I have plenty of attack speed, and I have plenty of movement speed. And I have plenty of damage, and I have a shit ton of leech, and that's why this build's still viable, frankly. This is one of my few builds which is both ES and life-based. We have both, we're leeching both. Incredibly tanky. This was my Maven farm. I used to farm Maven on this all the time. This could do Uber Maven too. And I'm just showcasing it. Is Spectral Helix the funnest playstyle? Not necessarily, but I think this could be upgraded because, frankly, it used to throw out the hammers much faster. Frankly, it's a claw. But the spinning claw gives us huge amounts of leech, and it used to be faster. Our attack speed's good. We need what's called projectile speed. We need just plain old projectile speed. See, a little bit of mana burn until we start hitting, but I'm just gonna go against the Purifier here with fully juiced up Purifier tier 16, and pretty much insta face. Still very powerful, horribly powerful. Still very viable build. If you don't mind the playstyle, and like I said, I think I can get it better by making projectile speed up. Getting that up, and you can see you can just kind of tank anything. This thing's so tanky. I think this could do simulacrum. I actually do. I should try that actually, because it can do bosses big time. If I can get projectile speed up, this could be a simulacrum farmer. My Spectral Helix Trickster from Lake of Calandra League still viable, as you can see. Now here's, of course, a still viable build because it's still fresh. It's still in Necropolis League. This is one from Necropolis, my Lightning Arrow build. And it's good still. And we're going to go ahead and run just this Minotaur. With All Flames, frankly, which, thank God they're going away. I'm getting real just tired of All Flames. The more I play them, the more I hate them. I got my Nemes back. I had sold it to experiment with a meme build. But got it back. This one has a Lionized Fall. And there's our Watcher's Eye. Very good Watcher's Eye. But yes, of course Lightning Arrow is still viable. But we'll see, pending 3.25 changes, right? Just wanted to make this update to show what builds you should not follow if they stumble on them on the channel or my old channel. Like my old, Scorching Rain, Wintertide brand builds from the old channel way back when. Just so you know, these 5 are still viable or upgradable. Now this Lightning Arrow, it sends them in random directions, and then with returning projectiles included, becoming a 7-link with the Nemes. And we have over 700,000 sheeted damage, frankly, as we run around with our Onslaught and our Frenzy charges. And we're triggering Frenzy to, of course, generate the Frenzy charges and Onslaught. It's a Frenzy of Onslaught, to be precise. And yeah, this is a fun-looking build, and it's a fun build to play, and it's not as tanky as the Spectral Helix, and not as fast as the Flicker Strike. But if you like range, and if you don't mind standing back a bit, very powerful. This can very much do Delirious maps, of course. It can do tier 17s. They used to do tier 17s without the Mimi. I used to run it. Yeah, with effort.
I'm not up to that just yet.
But yeah, it's good. Lightning Arrow is yellow because of my cosmetic. I have a cosmetic on it. It's normally blue. The green arrows that you're seeing, of course, are Frenzy. And I just want to, you know, well, I don't know if I tried or not, but you can see I got hit with the Minotaur swing and I tanked it just to showcase this build is still viable. Lightning Arrow.